and to the question that everybody has now been asking in recent days, that there has been a geopolitical shift in West Africa, and the Sahel nation have risen, and they decided to form their own confederation to stand for one another. And people are asking, since these leaders are also having the same views, they have common interests, they suffer the same fate, like Ambazonians have suffered in the hands of La Republique and others. What are there any strategic alliances that you're trying to build with leaders of countries like Burkina Faso, Niger, Guinea, Mali, and all of these countries that form part of this Sahel Confederation?
Ambazonians, when people have fought their own battles and they have elevated themselves to some place, that's when we are running to them. You know, let's go and have a piece of the cake that we think they are having. I think it's a good thing. What those gentlemen, some of them are almost like one of them could be my son. Trust me. A few years ago, I think I've spoken about this. I was with the wife of Thomas Sankara. I was fighting for the justice for the Sankara family. And so I was a keynote speaker in a conference in Munich that had her there and had their lawyer. And the uniqueness of the Sankara betrayal was something that really captured my imagination. And the uniqueness of his political vision, economic vision, is something that also captured my imagination. But more importantly, the fact that he was betrayed by a close friend and killed. And to have met his wife, I thought it was an honor. A few years after, I sat on the same table with late Pierre Buyoya, the former president of Burundi, and the former vice president of the Congo. We were in the same conference in Berlin. Why I bring these stories is some of the kind of background things that are unique in what you just asked. Yeah. In this conference, I was asked to help the vice president of the Congo to translate from he was speaking in French, if I could translate into English. And he was simply just begging the Germans. He was like, he's begging the Germans to come and support the Congo, that they are suffering. And I couldn't really translate that shit. I couldn't. It was so difficult for me to translate that shit. And so I was doing my own translation. And I was like, when he says he's begging the Germans to come and help, and I was like, he's asking the Germans that based on the historical practices of colonialism, the Germans have an obligation to and the former president of Burundi was laughing the whole time. Because people in the hall were like, why is he laughing? And I have a picture of the three of us. Immediately we finished the session, the three of us just went out and we were still laughing the whole time. Somebody captured a picture of the three of us. That is the kind of Pan-Africanism that these gentlemen have instituted. We are watching. It's bravery of an extraordinary proportion, and bravery that transcends the kinds of practices that we've seen before, where people take over power, they're interested in entrenching themselves, they have no ideology that their actions is anchored in, they have no vision that they are working towards. And the evolution that we are seeing is unique. And my hope is that they are going to take it forward. Yes, with respect to what they have formed, we hope, and we'll be getting the State Department to write to them to establish an observer status for self-determination entities within the continent, to have an observer status within the new bloc. That is going to be very meaningful for them, because if they don't also do so, these enemy blocks, these plantation overseers, they will try to bond themselves to undermine their viability. But if they open it up for non-recognized state to have observer status, it begins to bring a new flair into it. I've already notified, I wouldn't go into that further, but you should be rest assured, and Ambazonians must be rest assured that our vision for the continent is a vision of Pan-Africanism that prioritizes the nation's right to survive and exist as a prerequisite for the survival of Pan-Africanism. Pan-Africanism must be anchored in the nation's right to self-preserve and self-replicate itself in whatever way, shape, or form. Its independence shall not be undermined for the success of a Pan-Africanist vision that brings together the different nations. And I think that if the vision of the new bloc is anchored in this particular thinking, then an innovative thinking that does not replace the nation with a Pan-Africanist vision, then I think they are in the right direction.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President. But, whenever people who know you, people who have worked with you, or people who have followed you, when you speak, and when they listen to the likes of Ibrahim Traore, I mean, I focus more on him because I see a young man with a vision for his country who loves his nation. He wants to see that what is produced in their country stays. And this is what you've always been drumming in Ambazonia, the resources of Ambazonia that have been exploited from Ambazonia and have been transported, ferried to other countries. And this young man is also, he has the same kind of vision that you have for Ambazonia. Preparing Ambazonian for Ambazonian, the resources managed within us, produce and we decide the prices by ourselves, not that our raw material. I hear you most of the time talking about how a farmer in Ambazonia who produces cassava must have the value of that cassava in Ambazonia, make sure that they produce gari from that cassava that is worth the price that they